to the Classic Wines Minute, brought to you by ClassicWines.com. I'm Brian Friedman. Now, today we're in a little bit different setting here. Rather than being at a bar or a restaurant, we're on a couch. Pretty self-explanatory. And we're here because I want to deal with one of the main dilemmas that people have with wine. Again, we keep talking about this pretension that's associated with wine. Well, you know, I definitely believe that most wines we'll ever have are much, much better when we have them with food. The problem is, with this pretension, that, you know, people tend to think you can't have wine unless you're pairing it up with something really fancy. Caviar, foie gras, prime rib, whatever it is. The truth is, there are wines out there that are absolutely fantastic with everything from barbecue to ribs to burgers, and today, one of my favorite combinations, pizza. Might seem kind of strange, right? But let's actually take this apart. Classic combination, of course, is, you know, an Italian wine, like a Chianti or something like that, with good acid, bright fruit, good earth flavors, with pasta. Well, what do we have when we have pizza? Well, we have bread, just like pasta. We have a little garlic bread on the side. The pasta is bread, essentially. We have tomato sauce, and we have cheese. So basically, the pairing philosophy when it comes to pizza is not terribly different from the pairing philosophy when it comes to certain kinds of pastas. All right? I think people tend to get worried and concerned and a little bit confused with it, because pizza is considered sort of lowbrow, right? If anybody watches The Office out there, right? The Steve Carell character, Michael Scott, said, "Pizza's the great equalizer. Everybody loves pizza." And then he went on to say some awfully offensive things, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that pizza is very friendly to a wide variety of wines, and it really allows you to pair up a wine based on what you like with the wine, as opposed to demanding a specific kind of wine that maybe you wouldn't like. And that's because of the combination of flavors and textures and that element of fat as well. What I've chosen to pair today, and this is a very, very popular wine. This is the Falesco Vidiano 2005. And this is a really interesting blend of Cabernet, Merlot, and Sangiovese. So we all know Cabernet and Merlot, very popular. Everyone loves them. They get a lot of marketing dollars thrown at them. But then we have Sangiovese. Now, Sangiovese is the main grape in Chianti. Okay? So again, Chianti is not a kind of grape. Chianti is actually a region inside Tuscany. This is not a Chianti, although it uses the major grape. This wine is from Umbria, which is sort of right next door to Tuscany, to that region. Okay? Now, let's actually give this wine a taste, and then I'll explain exactly why I decided to pair this with my... Oh, you know, let's do a better pour. We're having pizza. We can loosen up today. All right, so I like this wine because it's going to offer us great acid, and that's going to come from the Sangiovese. And what that's going to do is cut right through all that fat and richness from the cheese in it. But it's also going to give us enough weight and enough tannins that it's going to be able to compete with the weight and heaviness, essentially, of the pizza. Also, when it comes to pairing wine and food, tannins, okay, it's what gives you the cotton mouth, the Sunday morning fuzzy teeth in wine. Tannins actually play very nicely with fat and protein, all right? They counteract each other. So if we have pizza, all right, that has cheese on it, the fat from that cheese is actually going to soften the tannins. Conversely, or at the same time rather, those tannins are actually going to cut through that fat a little bit and make it much more easy to enjoy. It's exactly the same reason why a great piece of steak like a ribeye is so good with a California Cabernet. It's that fat and protein on the one hand and the tannins on the other. All right, so let's give this a swirl here. And again, just because you're having pizza doesn't mean that you're not allowed to swirl and sniff, because at the end of the day, we're still trying to enjoy our wine. Boy, that's interesting. I'm getting some interesting deep aromas. There's almost something minty in that, which sounds kind of strange, right? But there's also something a little bit oaky, some really nice ripe fruit, but nothing is overwhelming me, right? If we had a wine that was 100% California Merlot, that classic jammy style, that rich coffee flavors in there, it would be horrible with the pizza. But here it's brightened up by that Sangiovese, right? And the tannins of that Cabernet. I think this is going to be great. So let's give this a taste here. Absolutely delicious. I love the tannins. They're sort of medium strength, but they're not overwhelming anything. There's good acid from the Sangiovese, I think it's going to be perfect with this pizza. See how this goes. You don't want to get pizza mouth. All right. It's fantastic. Those tannins, which were a little bit overpowering in the beginning, again, they weren't too strong, but they were definitely one of the main components that I was experiencing with the wine. All of a sudden, as soon as I paired it with the fat from the cheese on the pizza, it calmed them right down. I'm also going to say that because I had the wine in my mouth right before I had the pizza, I really do feel like there was some sort of synergy there, right? If we're going to sound all corporate about this stuff. There was a synergy or a symbiotic relationship between what's going on in the wine, especially with the tannins and the acid, and the characteristics of the pizza. So again, there's no reason why you can't pair up wine with anything you eat. And the bottom line, this is not only perfect for a pizza because of what it tastes like, but it's less than $10. Tell me that's not a pizza wine, I don't buy it. So from ClassicWines.com, I'm Brian Friedman. Thanks for joining the Classic Wines Minute. Cheers.